Badlands at sunset, where the sun hits the striped rock formations just right and turns everything pink, gold, and red. Or waking up in Wyoming to see the Grand Tetons rising out in the morning sky, so tall they almost don't even look real. Both moments are completely different, but each reminds you how powerful nature can be and how close that kind of beauty really is to us. Today, I want to take you on a short little road trip to two of the most stunning places in our region, South Dakota's Badlands National Park and Grand Teton National Park. I've been lucky enough to visit both, and each one gave me a totally different experience. One felt calm and ancient, while the other felt more wild and alive. But both reminded me that taking the time to travel, even if it's just a few hours from home, can completely change how we see the world around us. Let's start right here in South Dakota. The Badlands. If you've been there, you know what I mean. You're driving through flat prairie, and then suddenly the land just turns into sharp cliffs and colorful canyons that stretch for miles. It's like, my grandpa always told me, it's like stepping into a painting made of stone. The National Park Service says these rock formations were created over 75 million years ago, layer by layer, as sediment and volcanic ash settled and hardened. Then erosion. The wind, rain, and then time itself sculpted what we see today. Some of those layers still hold ancient fossils, including early horses, rhinos, and saber-toothed tigers. It's like nature's own museums built of rock. But the Badlands aren't just about history, they're also about peace. This is a silence that feels different from anywhere else you've ever been. When I was there, I remember just standing at an overlook, hearing and feeling nothing but the wind. You can see bison grazing in the distance or a hawk flying above you. It's such a wide, open space that it almost makes you feel small, but in the best way possible. For us DWU students, it's only about a 3-hour drive from Mitchell, so it can make the perfect weekend road trip. You can hike trails like Notch Trail or Door Trail, which are short but lead to amazing views. Or, if you want a slower pace, you can just drive the Badlands Loop Road and stop at all the overlooks. At night, the stars are unreal. Since there's no light pollution, it's one of the darkest spots in America, so you can see the Milky Way stretching across the sky. What I love most about the Badlands is how ancient it feels. If you think about it, you're standing in a place that's been shaped for millions and millions of years, and it makes you realize how small and temporary all of us are in comparison. It's humbling, but it's also kind of freeing. If the Badlands show the quiet power of time and erosion, the Grand Teton shows the power of height, wilderness, and adventure. Grand Teton National Park is like something out of a postcard, the kind of place that you see on a calendar or in a nature documentary. In fact, I bet most of you have actually unknowingly seen the Grand Tetons. The National Park Foundation describes the Grand Teton Range as one of the most photographed landscapes in the United States, and it's easy to understand once you're actually there. The Tetons rise nearly 7,000 feet above the Jackson Hole Valley floor, forming these jagged, dramatic peaks that look completely different from the rolling hills of western South Dakota. The mountains don't have foothills. Instead, they just shoot up straight out of the ground, which makes them look unbelievably tall. One of the best spots to visit is Jenny Lake. You can take a short boat ride across or hike around it and watch the peaks reflecting off the water. The water is so clear that you can see the rocks several feet below the surface. It's literally like liquid glass. I remember sitting there in the early morning when it was completely still and it felt like all time had just been stopped around me. The park is also packed with an extreme amount of wildlife. Moose, elk, black bears, bald eagles, and even grizzly bears if you're lucky, or lucky depending on how close you are. The National Park Service says the Tetons are connected to Yellowstone, making it part of one of the largest intact ecosystems in North America. That means the same wildlife that roams Yellowstone also roams the Teton, which gives this place a wild, untouched feeling. For anyone who loves the outdoors just as much as I do, the Tetons are basically paradise. There's hiking, kayaking, climbing, photography, or even just relaxing in Jackson, Wyoming, which is a small town right outside of the park which is filled with cozy restaurants and local art shops. But beyond all the activities, what stands out the most about Grand Teton National Park is how alive it feels. You can sense everything there, the mountains, the lakes, the animals. It's all constantly moving and it's all constantly changing. It's a reminder that nature isn't static, but but it's constantly evolving and we're just guests in it. So whether it's the ancient silence of the Badlands or the rugged energy of the Tetons, both parks show us different sides of nature. Both leave the same impression, awe. Both the Badlands and Grand Teton National Parks capture two sides of nature's beauty. One is carved by time, while the other is defined by strength and scale. From the colorful rock layers and quiet prairies of the Badlands to the sharp mountain peaks and clear lakes of the Tetons, each park tells a story worth hearing, seeing, and experiencing. As DWU students, we're in a unique spot. We live somewhere that most people don't really talk about, but we're surrounded by some of the most extraordinary landscapes in America. You don't have to fly across the country to see something amazing. In fact, all you have to do is just get in the car and go. So the next time you need a break from life, or if school's starting to feel too heavy, remember, in just a few hours, you could be sitting at an overlook in the Badlands watching the sunset, or sitting by a lake in the Tetons staring at peaks that touch the clouds. These parks don't just exist to be photographed, but they exist to remind us that sometimes the best lessons, the best peace, and the best adventures come from simply stepping outside. So go see the Badlands, go see the Tetons, because the best classroom might just be the outdoors.